Not everyone's cut out for trading. Easiest way for me at the time was to get a job as a runner. You were physically and mentally abused on a daily basis. So I just basically told everyone to and I jumped down.
Trading is one of the hardest things I've ever put myself through.
I think that's one of probably the biggest pitfall for retail traders at the moment is
So how did you actually trade?
make money, make money, make money. And it just happens. 1% make a lot of money, 0.1% make loads of money. And then,
So if you were starting off as a retail trader, what markets would you pick?
if you're like me and you don't want to really do technical analysis, trading something like energy products.
Welcome back to Trader Talk, guys. Today we have a different episode and one that I have been excited about since I found out who we were getting on. I will let this guest introduce themselves because I feel like I can't do it justice enough.
Oh, stop it.
So,
Stop it.
Welcome
Please. Oh, man, stop it.
to
Stop
the
it.
biggest person probably in the trading industry on Twitter.
No, thank you for that, but no, I definitely aren't. I'm definitely not that. My name's Ryan. I am 22 years in the industry, trading, well, everything from runner on the trading floor back in the day to trading, market making, real market making, not fake market making, or the evil market makers, etc., etc. And now I finished trading just before COVID, and now I run a software company where we aggregate news and data for traders into a platform. There you go. Is that good enough?
That's a pretty cool intro.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it really gets cooler than that, does it? 22 years in the industry.
I know, I don't look 12.
I would,
Right.
Do you know what I mean? When you said 22, I thought it was, are you 22? Or is that what you're going with?
Not to make you feel old, but I'm 23.
Yeah, right. I see you guys.
Sorry.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah. So starting strongly on. Yeah, thanks, mate.
So,
Yeah.
your story, we're going to talk about
cool.
progressing through the ages.
So
And,
my first memory is.
well, how did you get into trading? Like, where was the first spark for markets?
I kind of, for as long as I can remember, I was always interested in like news, geopolitics, and trading. And my stepdad, a lot of his friends were life traders. So when I say life traders, they're like the London trading floor. Mm-hmm. So it's the financial futures exchange. So they were all like Barrow boys. So none of them were kind of graduates. They were like proper like East End Cockney geezers, but would go and trade the FTSE for a living.
Yeah.
So just listening to their stories like in the pub and stuff afterwards, it was kind of straight away I kind of knew that this is something I want to be involved in. They were making a lot of money. They were drinking a lot. Seemed to be having a good time.
Perfect combo.
Sounds great for me. I'm like, sign me up. So when I finished college, which I did very, very shit at, as in awful, there was no way I was going to university. So it was kind of, how do I get into the industry? Easiest way for me at the time was to get a job as a runner. So basically a runner back then was you were the office or the trading floor bitch. I mean like you were physically and mentally abused on a daily basis, but by traders, but you did it because it got you into the trading room basically.
So was that like the go-to to start as a trader? You had to do that, or was there other ways in?
Well, there was other ways obviously, because I joined Kite Group, which was my first company and the company I was with for the longest. I joined them just after the Life Open Outcry floor closed. So there was like all of these guys that used to be like big bolshy shouting on the trading floors and stuff. It was that kind of environment, but in front of screens. But that was back when it was like everyone had two monitors. You know, remember those like the big backed monitors, not the flat screens. So everyone had like two of those. Yeah, so you kind of have multiple roles. Like you'd be part T-boy, you'd be part runner in terms of going out and doing laundry for them. I'm not making this up. Like you'd have to go and like do their like dry cleaning and stuff. But then you would also, if they were doing their arse or something, every trader would obviously have a daily stop. Obviously, we all have daily stops, right? And if someone was, say, breaking their daily stop, I'd go be sent round to tap them on the shoulder and say, you've got to stop yourself out. But of course, the guy that's just got your coffee and your sandwich that looks 12 years old.
Oh no.
If you then tell this big bolshy trader, sorry mate, you're down $5,000 or you're down 25 grand, you've got to stop yourself out. They normally reply with go fuck yourself. And you're like, okay. So then I'd potter off back to the risk room and give them another warning. And then from my end, I could then turn off their trading, phone up a broker and get them out their trades for them. And then you kind of hid for a little while so that they can't.
So you're the most hated, basically.
Oh, most
By
hated
far.
by a fucking mile.
Okay.
But it was, like I said, everyone, it was really aggressive place to work. but and you would make enemies during the day. But thankfully, pretty much, you stop someone out and they are literally hunting you down in the office. But at the end of the day, when they've chilled out, they'll take you out to dinner or go out for beers with them, and everything's fine. And it's a very weird environment, and it's an environment that would never exist now, like not in a million years.
Was it what you expected coming into the trading space?
I don't think so.
Like, what were your expectations?
Not to be hurled around, physically pushed around and like shouted at and whatever. But no, it was a weird one. So I grew up in a pub, and I think the best kind of background and the best way for me to kind of deal with working in that trading room was growing up in a pub surrounded by
Angry
drunks.
punters.
No, pretty much, honestly. Because you learn to deal with people, you learn to kind of like back away from people that are having a bad day. And don't push your luck too much. But as you know me, I can be a bit of a cocky little shit sometimes. So kind of got myself into a little bit of trouble that way.
Sounds like serious character building, though.
Oh, massively. My first day in the office, it was a very much, this is dressed up for back then, because obviously most people were trading their own money as well. I was wearing brogues, chinos, and a shirt, massively overdressed for the situation, and I was picked up, put onto a desk within about 10 minutes of being there, and forced to tap dance down the length of the desks. And I got about halfway, and I was so close to crying. And I was just like, do you know what? I don't need this, fuck this. So I just basically told everyone to fuck off, and I jumped down, and then everyone just jumped up and cheered, and that was kind of me in.
That was like your initiation?
Well, kind of, yeah.
I was going to say, what's the day-to-day life look like, but that's...
It was, yeah, there's stories that, there's a lot of amazing stories from back in those times, and I'm still very good friends with, you've met a few of them, of the traders from back then, because where I was their runner and stuff. But there's a lot of stories that you've got to ask me over a pint, because I'm not doing it on this. Like, not in a million years can I repeat these stories.
So how close to Wolf of Wall Street was it?
Oh, nowhere like that at all. We didn't wear suits.
Oh yeah, I get you.
No, it wasn't. No, it was very bolshy back then. But in terms of the atmosphere, it could be very similar. But that wasn't day in, day out. There would be like all trade, as you know. There's days when weeks go by when, especially in the summer with summer markets, right? Weeks go by and fuck all happens.
Literally this week.
Yeah, exactly. And and I think that's part of being a good trader, is dealing with those times and realizing that you can't always push. If you try and force a trade, you're going to lose money. You need to kind of wait for it to come to you, and that's why we had like 2 or 3 big screens in the trading room. They would always be on MTV. No one had back then. Honestly, no one had Bloomberg up or anything like that. A FTSE would something would happen, and the FTSE might gap 50 points or whatever, and everybody like, what the fuck's happened here? And then we'd find out the next day it was the UK GDP release. Like, it was so honestly.
That's crazy.
Honestly, it was like when someone first got a squawk in. I think it was at the time. I think it was live squawk or Rand squawk, which is now News squawk. It was like we felt like we were at NASA. It was crazy, because back then everyone just was basically trading order flow. So very few people back then were looking at technical analysis. And to be fair, I know you're technical analysis. I've never been a big fan of technical analysis, and that's putting it very politely. But I think that's just the traders I grew up with. So the traders I grew up with, like, there's no technical analysis on the trade, like in a open outcry trading floor. You're just watching what everyone else is doing, and you're trying to jump in front of them or squeeze people out.
I was going to ask, like, what percentage is it technical versus fundamental?
In terms of like all the traders that I kind of came up through with, or the people that are already there, anyone that's been there longer than a couple of years, I would say it's probably 99% fundamental.
Wow.
Yeah. I know it's different now, obviously, because people like yourselves can make very good, loads of money, technical analysis. But I personally, and it's just for my circles, everyone's different with trading. That's the beauty of trading. I don't know one person personally that has made a career out of technical analysis. But that's just me. I'm just saying that's me and the people that I've been around trading. There are obviously people that make money trading technical analysis. Just, I don't know anyone.
I think, you know what it is though? I think it's a very different time. I think within the last 5 years or so.
100%.
Trading is completely transformed, with these online prop firms.
Oh, massive.
It's a completely different world. I feel like it's obviously what you come from.
Well, this is, so when you talk about different worlds as well, I think this is a really important point for new traders, is that anytime I see anyone back testing or anyone comparing a market to pre-global financial crisis, so 08, 09 or 07, 08, 09, anytime I see people comparing the markets to before then to now, I just want to fucking shake them, because the markets are now completely different. Like, you now got central banks are coming in, and monetary policy is being used as basically a way to buy stocks, to keep stocks supported. That's monetary policy came in to solve the crash, to kind of stem the flow. So it's a completely different market, and in technical analysis obviously has a place for some people, and more power to them. I'm not you're a very good technical analysis trader. I'm not going to sit here and say no. It's just all luck. It's just shit, because it's obviously not. Because you're making a career out of it.
Yeah.
But from my standpoint, it's not ever been my bag. Moving averages, I think like your 50, your 100, your 200. That's stuff I like to keep an eye on, just because it gives you an idea of where the market is in relation to where it's been. But I do think I think sometimes it's almost too easy for a new trader, just to get sucked into, I can get my crayons out and I can draw on a chart and I'll be the best trader ever.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
There's that
absolutely.
difference between
Absolutely.
what you post and stuff, like you've put the time in to learn about technical analysis. You're not just drawing random lines on charts. And that's the bit like fucking hate, is where people just, also you get twats out there that kind of selling courses, and all they're doing is selling courses on like drawing lines on trend lines and stuff. It's like,
I can someone at the top of my head sells a course exactly on trend lines.
yeah. I'm like,
I know who that is.
Like, there is a lot more to it.
Exactly.
So what does a trade look like for you? Because obviously for me, I'm on the chart, I analyse it, work out where I'm going to enter, where my stop loss is going to be, where my take profit is going to be. I can't imagine not doing that.
No, that's a fair point, because obviously you're using your technical analysis for your entry and your exit and your stop, right?
Exactly.
So you're not going to put your stop just above a support line. You're going to put it just after.
Exactly.
Right? So obviously caveat that with, I haven't traded for a few years now, because a couple of mental breakdowns and losing too much money, then making too much money, losing too much money, kind of it's doing me head in.
The reality of trading.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
Just a bit more on the extreme level.
yeah, it's pretty much. But in terms of like these guys that are just purely order flow and watching the price action, it's hard to kind of quantify how you would come up with a fixed way of putting your stops in. So a lot of these guys will literally just wait and watch the order book and try and read that and then trade accordingly. Yes, it's quite risky, and sometimes some of these guys try to avoid having stops in total. Their stop is when they get their max down day or whatever. And in regards to targets, it's when the order flow looks like it's changing. It's you've got these guys, some of the best traders I know, will literally just stare at the ladder all day and they're just watching the order flow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like for us, we have like set conferences. It's like, okay, if this is tick, this is tick, this is tick, we take a trade. Do they have like set trading plans, or is it more of like instincts and reactions?
It's instinct. A lot of these guys, it's instinct. Yeah, there's but again, this is what's so great about trading. Is like, I'm fortunate to be very good friends with a lot of the people I grew up with in the industry that are older than me, and a lot of them are incredibly successful. Some are just order flow, like some of the STIRS guys. They've been watching these short-term interest rate markets, so the STIRS. They've been watching these markets for like 20 years. They know how the flies and the calendars and the boxes work, so in terms of like the multi-month positions. And they'll watch what's going on in the market, they'll watch where the big orders are, where real money is. And so when we say real money, that's like so hedge funds or pensions buying into these markets, and they'll be doing big clips and getting filled on all their clips. And it's just reading the market and the instinct behind it, which is why I think it's so difficult now for a new trader to trade like that, because you need to have basically grown up watching order flow. Yeah. Whereas now for a new trader, apart from if you're trading news or event driven, which that's a completely different kettle of fish, and that's something that I'm quite passionate about, but reading the order flow as a new trader I think is incredibly difficult. I might be completely wrong. Hopefully people can prove me wrong and shout at me online for saying it, but that's my impression. I think for a new trader in the industry now, technical analysis is probably the gateway to trading, but they've just got to be so careful in who they listen to.
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
so easy to follow wankers.
Yeah. There are just so many courses, and I would say 99% of educators are full of shit. And
100%.
it's-
Why are they selling a course? Because they can't make money trading.
yeah, this is the thing. Like, people
But
are
not
charging
everyone.
grands for people to get into trading, when most of the time now people are getting into trading because they want a way out of life. Like, life's hard, and you're not
That's
going to do it by paying £2,000
No.
for a course.
And also, you're not going to do it like that. You're not going to make your millions with £500 in your trading account.
Yeah.
In fact, so I've had many friends over the years say, I've got some spare money, I want to put it into a trading account.
All the time.
And I'm like, how much have you got? And like, £2,000. I'm like, it's not worth it. Because your problem is, if you've got, say, £2,000 in your trading account, you should only be looking to make 1% or 2%, a trade, or that's a good trade, right? If you're very lucky, you'll double. If you were doing it, if you were kind of managing your risk correctly, you're not going to be, doubling your trading
Say
account.
top 5% a month.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
good.
Yeah,
That's
But,
really
exactly.
good.
but if you've only got £2,000 in your account, that 5% looks fuck all, and that's like, well,
Yeah.
what's the point in doing it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're
of
going to take
course.
bigger risks, and if you take bigger risks, you're going to lose more money, and you're going to do your account more, and then you'll stick it, and then 2 months later you'll stick in another £2,000, and you'll just do the same
Do it
again.
again. Yeah.
Whereas if you just worked, and you stuck at your job, and you saved 10 or 20 grand, and then put that into your account, your 1-2% days, that is a couple of digits. And that makes you feel a lot more comfortable that you're doing the right thing, and you're not going to just try and go after these £1,000 days. And like, trying to make £1,000 when you've only got 2,000 in your account is impossible.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing like the degen fucking leverage and all that stuff, which, again, I promise you, will end badly. You might make some money in the short term, but long term, you're going to do your arse. I think that's one of probably the biggest pitfall for retail traders at the moment, is starting trading with too little in their accounts.
It's because the average audience now is like 17, 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Obviously, COVID went crazy. Everyone started making money online,
Yeah.
all the entrepreneur little online hustles. And
Yeah, it's not easy. And I think it's too few people tell you that trading is fucking hard. Yeah,
And this is one thing I stand on, and I will tell people all the time. Trading is one of the hardest things I've ever put myself through in
Yeah.
life, ever.
Exactly.
And it's like, you will see these people come on Twitter mainly that have been trading for a few years, gambled it on prop firms, made 6 figures, and then there's people like me who've been in the industry for like 10 years, and I'm like, why am I not doing that? But that's because they're gambling.
Yeah.
But because they look like they're making a lot of money, living the lifestyle,
This is it.
it's just such a vicious
Yeah.
cycle, I feel like, with
This is it.
trading.
And you've got to then have discipline yourself, not to get sucked in.
Exactly.
And you've been doing it for 10
Yeah.
years, and you're still thinking,
Why the fuck am I not rich yet?
Right, yeah. This is it, and it's because it is fucking hard
Yeah.
work. Yeah, and again, that's the thing. It's longevity. It's like one of my good friends, Anthony Crudeli, who out in the US, he does like Ninja Trader and stuff like that. He's been in the market. He was started off on the Chicago pits and stuff. He's an amazing guy, an amazing trader. He's done his full accounts multiple times. Like sold cars. In fact, he posted the other day on social media where he sold his G-Wagon because he needed to fund his trading account because he needed to stay in the game. And the longevity is everything in this game. You just need to be able to survive to be able to trade tomorrow. If you do your account today or you blow up today, you're fucked. That's it. You're done. So that should be back of your mind every trade you do. Am I going to wipe my account out? If you're in any position where you're going to wipe your account out on a trade, you should be doing that trade. Like never ever. Yeah, it's like S&P or whatever will have like a 2% down day, and you'll see people losing their mind.
I was going to say, the whole world loses its shit.
And you'll be like, if 2% down day is nothing. These days happen. If it's caused you that much pain that you're like pulling your hair out and you're like can't sleep at night,
You shouldn't let be there.
you've got too much size on.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've got too much
Yeah,
at
yeah.
risk. You should be able to you should really be able to see, stocks go 5% against you and you're like, all right, on to the next trade. Or double down. I'm joking. I'm joking. no
That's what David Bell would say.
Yeah. No trading or investment advice. No trading or investment. But you know what I mean? It's true. The market will always look for ways to fuck you. Don't give it the opportunity. Why are you laughing at me?
I don't know.
Yeah, so then I got given a trading account, which is kind of the way it used to go back then. If you put the time as a runner, you got rewarded at the end of it by being given a trading account. So I was given a trading account, and thankfully I was allowed to trade whatever I wanted. I say my passion, that's a bit of a weird way of saying it. I've always been really interested in like news and geopolitics and stuff. So oil trading was kind of a natural progression for me. Also, I kind of understood if there's a war in the Middle East, oil should go up.
Yeah.
Whereas like other guys were trading like Bunds, which is German bonds, and Gilts, which is obviously UK bonds. I'm like, I don't have a fucking clue what that means. What's an interest rate? Like literally, that was how green I was. But I knew, how geopolitics kind of mattered to energy markets. So that's what I started doing with that. Touch wood, it's a bit late now, but it was incredibly successful from the get-go. That kind of exploded a little bit. Then I kind of moved into natural gas and trying to cling on to old stories. But my kind of claim to fame at one point was I was like 20, maybe 22, 20, maybe about 24. And I was Europe's biggest private trader in Henry Hub natural gas on the ICE exchange, Intercontinental Exchange.
Wow.
But that was mainly because I found a loophole, which is another story, in their matching engine, and I milked that for everything I could.
Wow.
And fun fact, I was very good friends with people like Jeff Sprecher, who owns ICE. When they came over, they used to take me out for dinner and stuff. And one day I was sitting on a beach. I swear on my mum's life this is true. I was sitting on a beach in the Caymans because I was thinking about moving out there because one, it was better for the hours, and two, no tax. And I had a phone call from one of the senior guys at the ICE exchange in Europe, a guy called Aaron Gill. Hi, Aaron. And basically, because of all the action I was putting through it was like a faux OTC contract, so OTC over the counter. So it wasn't a traditional futures contract. You had to put up basically a shit ton of margin because you were technically clearing it yourself. So there was no like clearing house in between you and the counterparty, but it was hosted on the ICE exchange. And he's called me up. I'm on the beach, very drunk, obviously. That's what I do. Obviously. Says with a hangover. And he was like, Ryan, great news. I hope you're enjoying your holiday. Because of basically the added volume we're going through because of me, we've decided to upgrade all the matching engines, and it will be completely different when you come back. And that basically removed my loophole.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Did anyone know about the loophole that you found? No.
They knew what I was doing, but when I say a loophole, it's just I was basically this matching engine wasn't implying calendar spreads, or wasn't implying. So if you knew June was trading this and DEC was trading that, you know what the spread should be trading. Most matching engines now will imply that, so the exchange will imply that price.
Right.
Because this was an OTC contract, and because it was like, very limited people were doing it. It's basically only producers and utilities and end users of the Henry Hub contract were actually playing in it. It was a huge contract size as well. It was like, it was around, say, like $50 a tick on a one lot. So I was basically ICE's own matching engine. I was doing it all manual. Well, I say manual. I was using auto spreaders and stuff with trading technology, so TT trading software. So when I came back, obviously they don't need me anymore, and it just went out like that.
Done.
And that was when I had my first mental breakdown.
Wow.
Jesus.
But yeah, then so after that, kind of went back into just traditional trading, just normal energy markets. Ran my own trading desk, had some guys working for me, and that's when I got into market making after that, which was real market making, not ICT market making.
I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay.
So starting off with this, you
Yeah.
become a trader. How did the day-to-day change? You weren't getting bullied now, and you were actually trading.
Yeah, so it's completely different.
Yeah.
It's, you've gone from everything sounds really fun because everyone's like shouting stuff to you are just pulling your hair out most days and trying to survive. And again, like we've said, it's brutal. It's weird to describe it because I don't think you can until you're like sitting there. No idea how many 72-hour days I would have done.
Jesus.
Like minimum, especially when it's all kicking off, because the way we were trading, or the way I was trading, I would have positions on for months on end, like big positions. So you're just, sometimes you're just scared to leave the desk. And like you're seeing wild P&L swings, and it's not great for your mental health. Like, as I think, as you know, I'm very vocal about mental health, especially for traders, especially for guys, because obviously we find it really difficult to talk about stuff. I kind of suffered hugely from like depression and mental health issues. But I'm here now, which is the main thing. But yeah, it's incredibly difficult to kind of describe that feeling until you've actually got skin in the game yourself, as you must know, right?
I was going to say, this takes me back to trading crypto.
Oh God.
The PTSD.
Oh, exactly that. Like genuinely, I would remember like going to sleep, and I used to have this recurring dream when the market would be going against me, and every time I clicked to try and sell it or buy it, to get myself out of the position, basically, the quantity would go to zero. So I was like clicking, nothing would happen. And like that dream haunted me for like 10 years.
That's crazy.
And like honestly, I'd wake up like cold sweat, like and then I'd have to go, oh shit, now it's time to go to work. And it's just brutal. I used to promise myself when I was a runner that when I became a trader, I would always treat the runners with respect. That lasted about a week. And then I'm like, fuck off. But you got to do the right thing. Then afterwards you go and apologise. And at the time we all knew nothing was meant. But if you are obviously in a world of pain and someone comes over and says, hi Ryan, how are you doing today? You're not going to answer very politely. Well, I'm not.
So how did you actually trade? Like, if you could walk us through a trade, did you watch like ICT on YouTube? Do you watch like Spot Resistance?
Are you taking the piss? So again, for me, it was just watching the order books basically. I didn't use technical analysis. It was watching the news flow. If anything news happens, wise, you just got to jump on the market, watching what's going on in the spreads. For me, my focus, if we kind of limit the scope of what we're talking, my focus was really like Brent and WTI, and at the time those two markets traded quite in line with each other. They would we used to call it the ARB. But obviously it wasn't because it was two different products, both oil, but that's as far as it got. But they used to range like 25 ticks a day, so you could literally sit there and just try and be bid and offered on the range. But the problem is when it blows, like all these things, right? It's like pennies. It's picking up pennies in front of a steamroller. So win, 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 loss, win, 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 loss. But it's in terms of how I traded, it was just like I said before about how these other guys trade, just kind of instinct and watching the market.
Got you. Yeah. Well, you were trading for, 8 years as an energy trader, and you witnessed the financial crisis.
Yeah,
How was that?
Do you know what? I was talking to a friend about this. We were the room of about 50, 60 traders in that room. Because I did have my own room and I moved back in with the other guys because I was just getting a bit fucking cabin fever. I was the only one basically focused on oil. Everyone else was trading, say, like gilt bonds or FTSE stocks or S&P Euro stocks or all these different things. My markets really I didn't feel like they were that impacted, or it was manageable. And I'd look next to me and guys trading S&P and it's like limit down for like fucking 2 days or something like that. And I kind of look back and kind of think I massively missed an edge there because I could have just gone into risk and got limits in these markets. But it wasn't my bag. I didn't really know what those markets were doing, so I stayed out of it. But there was generational wealth to be made on those kind of occasions. So I kind of look back and think, I missed the boat a bit there because I was so focused in my markets, I wasn't willing to look outside of my markets. I think that's quite an important lesson as well, right? You can kind of be a bit too tunnel vision on what you trade right now.
100%.
And you'll miss so many opportunities in other markets. So
then you'll see it a few days later and go.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, as well, it's again, trading, it's a balance, right? So yes, you need to be focused on one or two contracts because if you try and look at everything, you're just it's just too thin. You're not going to pick up on something. You're not going to learn those markets well enough. You need to have like your core markets, right? So what would your core markets be?
GBP, USD.
Exactly, and that's your bread and butter, right? However, if something is going on somewhere else, you will say, hang on, I'll keep an eye on that.
Exactly.
Right.
Like if I'm trading GBP USD, I'm looking at Euro USD, the dollar. I'm looking at the whole range of like what's going on.
And then all of a sudden, if you hear say S&P's limit down, you'll have a quick look at the S&P and say, what's going on there? I think that's something that one of the things that I didn't do very well was I had my energy markets, and that's pretty much all I looked at. Even when the guy next to me is screaming or doing something, I'll just be like in my little zone. Yeah, so that's a lesson to learn there. Just make sure, have one eye on what's going on, because as well, you know, if you lose your edge in the contract you're trading, but that's all you've ever looked at, that you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yep.
You need to, and again, if we're talking about lessons to learn from my mistakes, which there's a lot of them, in love, life, I would definitely say if you have an edge, you need to be working on your next edge, because no edge lasts forever.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? So like
Yeah.
if something's working for you right now, like my little loophole in natural gas, that was working, and that was like I could not make money fast enough. But because it was making me money, I didn't care about anything else. So when that stopped overnight, it took me like 6 months to kind of work out what to do next, and like I was losing for 6 months.
I get you.
So you need to always be you always need to be paranoid. You need to believe that how you're making money now, tomorrow won't make you money. Because if you think like that, you'll constantly be thinking of the next way to make money and the next edge, or trying to expand on stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of that does come down to sense.
Yeah.
Because start of the year, made loads of money trading GBP USD, and then all of a sudden it just came to a halt, and it was like nothing, I couldn't make money. Like it was just I was losing my shit.
Right, I was going to say, what was the? Sorry, I'm asking you questions. How scary was that?
It's horrible.
Because that's all you like.
Because then you think, can I even trade? Was
Yeah,
it luck?
I know, right? This
Like
is
it's
you're like, was this all a dream?
literally. But then you get to a point where you're like, wait, okay, I've been doing this long enough. Let me look elsewhere. There are other things to trade. Maybe it's just this pair just isn't
Exactly that.
working right now.
And
that was a wake-up call for me.
Yeah, and this is it, right? But so many traders haven't got your experience, well, because you've got longevity, because you're a good trader. A lot of these people have only been trading for a year, 2 years. They still know fucking like Game of Thrones. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Markets change all the time, so you're gonna. I know guys that have been trading for like 40 years, and they're seeing stuff for the first time. So to think you understand it all after 2 years and you've got it all sorted, it's just not going to happen.
You know what's an interesting topic is trying to explain like the psychology of trading to a non-trader. Like all these experiences we go through, like FOMO, revenge trading, like doubting yourself, not taking a trade for 2 weeks. All these experiences, this doesn't
Honestly,
relate to life at all. It's crazy.
I don't think it's possible to try and describe it to people. Like you trying to like, if someone that doesn't know trading hears your story about you're making money in the pair and it stopped, you can't convey the sheer terror that you've got when you're going,
no,
I'm never going to make money again.
Literally.
I've just wasted 10 years of my life.
Literally.
Yeah, right?
Literally.
How can you explain that to someone?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like it's psychotic.
Yeah.
This is why.
It is.
Yeah.
I think we're generally all batshit crazy.
God.
Because how do you go through so many years of life, seeing P&L flying through the roof, and then boom, nothing.
No.
You can't mentally process that, so you can't explain that to someone else for them to understand it.
That's a good point. Like, I'm trying to think, do I know any successful traders that have been in the industry for a long time? Do I know any of them that are completely normal? Like, no. Like, and I know some very, very abnormal ones that are very good traders.
Yeah, the pain you have to put yourself through. Just
Yeah,
years
like-
of just back and
it's
forth,
just-
not going to make it, I'm going to make
It's
it,
pure
good week,
torture.
bad week.
It is torture.
Yeah, I'm obviously I will not mention names or anything, but a very good friend of mine, very good, very, very good trader, basically spent 3 or 4 years trying to short the S&P. And like every day was trying to short the S&P and basically was fighting every day to just not, to make money whilst being short. So, he's lost money on the short position, but he's jobbed around so much that at the end of the day he might have,
You must have
been,
had some strong conviction to take 3 years worth of short.
yeah. But
That was me short in oil, long in oil during COVID.
that's a bit, but then you spend all day just trying to kind of keep to zero.
Yeah.
Like walking away with a 0 P&L at the end of the day, that was a massive win.
Like, I would just be happy to just be break even,
Yeah,
please.
Yeah. But,
Moving on with the story.
Go on.
You then went to derivatives trader.
Well,
What
it's
was
just
the
the
switch?
same thing, really. It's
Oh, is it the exact same?
it's futures. It's pretty much, it's just another word for it. So when I stopped trading for Kite, I kind of moved around a little bit, then just went into other kind of more varied markets, again, macro focused, fundamental focused, which was great. Again, it's the same lessons you learn and the same things that you impart. To be honest, if I'm being brutally honest, which is kind of unfortunately my default setting sometimes, I kind of at that point wasn't in a good place, like trading wise, and like mental health as well. So it wasn't that great trading. Is what it is. But then that kind of led me to work as a market maker, which is obviously which I'm guessing
we're getting there slowly.
Getting there.
We're almost there. I wanted to ask one like throwaway question. It was like stereotypes based on like what markets you traded or who you traded for, like for the individual. Like, okay, if you trade energy markets, you're da-da-da-da. Or if you work for this.
Do you know what? Yeah, kind of. So going back to like the old floor days, so IPE floor, which I did a very short stint on. So the IPE floor was the International Petroleum Exchange. So that was open outcry, but for oil markets. You had the London International Financial Futures Exchange, which was obviously the financial products, so FTSE, gilts, bunds as well were trading on there at one point. And then you had the oil floor, the IPE floor. The IPE guys were fucking insane. Like they were just animals. Like, yeah, they were just different kind of people. And so those kind of traders that I kind of grew up with, yeah, they were just like mental. Like would go out. Well, I know. So one story. Actually, he was an options guy. He was my guy I used to sit next to. His old boss would go into this is like 25 years ago. Would go into a local pub in Wimbledon dressed as a woman, just to have a fight, just hoping that someone would pick on him. Like
I don't know what to say.
That's the kind of people they are. This is kind of what we say. Like it's psychotic.
No, that's.
Yeah.
I don't have a word.
Well, no, this is it. And like, but when you're told that story, you're like, oh yeah, nice guy.
What do you fancy doing tonight? Oh, just going to pub dressed as a woman.
Yeah.
What?
Like, it's yeah.
Like the markets don't already punish you enough. Just
go and get battered by someone.
Well, no, but this thing, he would do all right in a fight. Because you're not expecting a woman. Well, he didn't look like a woman, is he? But he was very clearly not a woman. But yeah, it's. But in terms of like different types of traders for different markets and stuff. Obviously, you got your crypto degens. I think now it seems to all be a lot more sanitized. So obviously, but you're not getting that anymore. There's like some horrendous stories again, which are for a pub, not for this, which I can tell you. Yeah, I guess if you had to say like maybe the short term, the STIRS traders and the bond traders, probably a little bit more switched on, because bond markets, if in doubt, look at bonds. They kind of bonds don't lie and all these other cliches. And then you've got your punters. What I will say, and like hats off to you, I think FX markets are probably the most difficult markets in the world to trade.
Really?
Absolutely, because they're so efficient.
David Bell always says this as well.
Shout out to David Bell.
Gang.
But no, because they're so efficient. It's it's the biggest markets in the world.
Yeah.
There's some people that would say, that you're only making money if the markets are inefficient. And then you've got other people that will swear blind that markets are always efficient, yada, yada, yada. But FX markets are so efficient in what they do. I would never start FX trading. That's why I doff my hat to you, because I wouldn't trade FX markets with stolen money.
No way.
So if you were starting off as a retail trader, brand new trader, what markets would you pick?
That's a very good question, Leon. Personally, and it's not just because I've got a soft spot for energy markets, but I think with what's going on in the world now, and if you're like me and you don't want to really do technical analysis, trading something like energy products, I think gives you a good vibe for what's going on in the world as a whole. It's news. A lot of it's news driven, event focused and stuff. So for me, I think that's cleaner markets to trade, because you're waiting for that catalyst to trade, which is why people should be using platforms like PIQ.
Boom.
Oh.
I was going to say, I know you weren't really technical driven, but which markets were the most technical driven compared to, let's say you were fundamental, which ones were the least fundamentally driven?
God knows. That's a really tough question. I would say if I can cheat and say markets I know now, I would say crypto definitely seems to be the most technically backed. And I think that's because, it's changing now because obviously you've got headlines with regulatory news and stuff like that. But for a long period of time, they were the only people trading it were all using technical analysis. Yeah. So it became like self-serving. So if everyone's got a trend line in, yeah, if everyone's got a support level in, that will then be support.
Yeah.
Because everyone's bid in front of it, everyone's stopping below it. But in terms of back then, maybe you could kind of argue bond markets perhaps. Yeah, and maybe FX. I think, but yeah, I guess it's hard for me to it's hard for me to answer that because I only looked at fundamentals.
Yeah, of course. It's a bit of a tough one. Moving on with the story. Next one, risk manager.
Oh yeah, so I then went back to risk management. So obviously, technically, when you're a runner, you're also in risk, which debatable. Please stop yourself out. But yeah, so after trading a little bit, it kind of got to me a little bit and just wasn't adapting. I was losing money and stuff. So kind of said, look, I need to stop trading, or else I'm going to be in front of the number 42 bus. Pretty much that happened.
It gets that deep.
Yeah, no, it's a deep show, ladies and gents. So I kind of got an opportunity via a friend that was a risk manager. Said, look, I know you don't want to trade anymore, but ex-traders make very good risk managers because they understand what traders are like and how to deal with traders. So I took that job as a risk manager. Again, it was great for me because I was still involved in markets because I need to be involved in markets. I don't know what else I'd do. Being risk manager was really good because obviously back involved in markets, back with talking to traders, watching markets because you have to watch markets to be a risk manager because you need to know what's going on in the markets, why people are doing their
Of
arms.
course, yeah.
It was just really helpful for me. It kind of made me realign a little bit and kind of also made me realise that, I did miss trading, but there is life after trading that's still involved in markets, which for a long period of time, all you think of is you have to be trading if you want to be in markets, but there's so many other things now. Yeah, and you're seeing it a lot with, especially the more experienced guys, and I'm talking like guys that are ex-floor traders and whatnot. So many of them, as the markets have evolved, a lot of us didn't evolve with the markets. I hold my hands up, like as the algos and stuff started coming in, I didn't adapt at all. It just wasn't how I learned to trade. So a lot of these guys now, market surveillance, compliance, a lot of them have gone into that. And it's kind of that poacher turned gamekeeper kind of role because you know what to look for. It's easy for you to spot where things could maybe a little bit dodgy or what to look out for and stuff. So yeah, it was really, really good to go back into risk.
So did you keep track of their performance, or is it just pure risk based?
Yeah. So you have an idea of everyone, what they've got in their accounts, their trading accounts, especially if they're self-backed as well. Okay. And again, this is all futures trading, so this is all direct exchange. This isn't through retail brokerages or anything like this. This is big boy trading.
Real trading.
Real trading. So if you're not trading on futures, you're still real trading. It's fine. God. But yeah, so you'd understand exactly where everyone's kind of accounts are. You'd understand how they normally trade. If they're doing something if they're breaking their limits in terms of position sizing, or if they're breaking their stop limits in terms of cash. All of this was kind of feeding through. I think when I was trading oil at one stage, I think my record at one point was about 20 monitors in front of me. And more monitors do not equal more P&L.
Wow.
But obviously this was back when monitors were this big, by the way. But then, again, more monitors does not mean more money. Normally works the other way around. But and then when you're in the risk room, it's a wall of monitors because you're watching every trader. You've got a line for every trader that clears through the company. You've got screens with just the price on them. You've got screens with FX exposures and stuff for the company. I'd have to phone up, whoever was doing our FX at the time, and you are still trading a little bit because if say you're trading oil, every tick you make is dollars. So the company might have huge dollar exposure, so you need to kind of manage that as well. So there's loads of it too. It's not just staring at numbers and going, well, he's done his arse.
What were the most common patterns you saw in underperforming traders versus good performance traders?
Lack of discipline is by far the biggest killer for traders. Discipline is 99% of trading, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm happy for it, but in my personal opinion, discipline is 99% of the game.
Wouldn't you say when they're trading based off instinct, it's hard to stay disciplined because you're not following a mechanical plan? Absolutely.
Yeah, this is why it's incredibly. This is why so many people can't do it, and you have to be a certain type of person to be able to trade like that because you need to have that discipline. If you've got your structured because of your technical analysis.
Even that's tough enough.
Yeah,
staying
exactly.
disciplined with a plan.
Yeah.
Imagine being without a plan, trading off of
And
instincts.
this is why so few people do it well, but the ones that do it well, in my opinion, are the best traders in the world. But you're talking about the 0.001% of people that try trading. But yeah, like I said, discipline is everything. And again, everything comes down to discipline. So like you would argue that one of the the easiest thing to see when a trader's doing very poorly is they start forcing trades, like what we mentioned before, right? Especially like right now, so we're nearly halfway through August, so it's like peak summer markets is what we used to call it. It's kind of still called it now, where most people are on holiday. Especially back in the day when it's all like banks, like the whole desk would go on holiday basically, leave the junior in front of it. So you get very little flow coming through. Those are the times when literally you're sitting on your hands for like weeks on end. And like, how difficult is it to watch the markets and not trade?
Literally, it's horrible. But this is why I always say to people, you have to have other things outside of trading, because you will just get stuck in the loop.
Yeah.
You're forcing trades. You're like, fuck, I'm not doing anything. I'm not productive. Instinctively, you want to do something.
Yeah.
If I haven't taken trade in 2 weeks, oh my God.
You're jonesing, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's like
shaking. Like, what do I do?
Yeah, no, exactly. And this is it. And it's like, and again, that's down to discipline. There's loads of little traits. Also, again, it's not nice to think about, but if someone's going through some difficult times at home or whatever, you're having a bit more focus on them because you don't know what's going through their head. Also, it's weird. It's like, I remember going back in the day, we'd see some really, really good traders, like almost like gifted traders, start off as, say, a graduate or whatever. They would like clean up, then they would buy their first house. As soon as they had a mortgage, their trading would go to shit.
It's the pressure, isn't it?
Because now, rather than just being like nice and like organic, make money, and it just happens, the back of their mind, they're like, I need to make X amount today to pay my mortgage. Yeah. And that's when they start forcing trades, or they might be cutting their winners a lot quicker, they might be running their losers more. Comes back to discipline.
I did the exact same thing. I went full-time trading in 2023. First 6 months, amazing. And then obviously it's like being reliable on the money and stuff like that. Started spending a little bit more, and then it didn't go too well.
Right. And it's what happened to me. It's happened to anyone that's been in the market for long enough, longevity. It happens to everyone, and it's fucking your brain.
Yep.
Do you think a lot of it as well, back to like a psychological element, it's because most of us who come into trading, we didn't grow up with silver spoons. So mentally, really we're not used to seeing that type of money. So we get a bit excited, spend it, and then we're like, fuck, I need to make that money again. Yeah. So then it's like, but you didn't grow up with that mentality of that type of money being normal.
Yeah, no, that's...
And I feel like the problem is the other way around as well. If you do come from money and you're too used to that, you get too comfortable with the money.
Yeah.
And then you just...
It could go both ways.
It's like either end is bad. You need to be in the middle.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. I think, again, just trying to use kind of traders that I know are, they've been around for a long time and also are incredibly successful. I'd say the most successful traders I know come from very little money, and then they have the hunger for it. That doesn't mean you're guaranteed to make money, because again, you might suffer from the fact that I need to make money. Yeah. Again, this is why we need to remember that it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what you do trading. It doesn't matter what, patterns or what technical analysis you use or whatever. Not everyone's cut out for trading. There's no magic kind of formula for what makes a good trader. Some people, you can put them in front of an algo that makes money, but if they're not right, if they haven't got the right makeup, they'll try and tweak it, or they'll self-sabotage. Yeah. Do you know? Yep. I wish I had this I wish I could give you like a formula, right? This is what equals a good trader. But there's so many parts to it. Yeah. Yeah, and this is why, genuinely, if you are starting trading now, and it's not enough people say this, but you're most likely to fail. If 100 people watching this and they've not traded before, I guarantee that 90 of them will lose money. Yeah. Right? And you can look at the stats. Oh, well, the IG index says it's only 76% of traders lose money. Maybe in that account, but then they've got multiple accounts. Yeah. And and then so maybe maybe only 10% make money, maybe 1% make a lot of money, and then you're on about 0.01% make shitloads of money, and then it's keeping that money.
That's the tough part.
Tell me about it. That's why I'm sat here.
We're still going.
Moving on to the last part of the story.
Yeah.
Market maker. Okay.
So real
Are you
market.
purposely targeting my stop loss?
No.
No.
So real market making is what I used to. So I used to be a market maker for CME and ICE, trading in oil markets. So market making is you're just providing liquidity, right? That's all you're doing, right? Anyone that claims that market makers have an inside line and they see where everything is and they're pushing prices around to stop your two lot out, do me a fucking favour. You know, when I was trading when I was market making for CME and ICE, you know, we're putting hundreds of lots bid and offered like on a few ticks wide on the spread or whatever. We don't give a shit about two lot. In fact, you know, that's just in the way. In fact, we want more of those, so then no one's hitting us. So like an ideal market maker is being paid. So we were paid by the exchange as well, stipend. So we're given money by the exchange to make markets in contracts that are quite liquid. They're paying us handsomely to do this because they know we're going to lose money. So the idea, you know, in a perfect world, as a market maker, you're bid and offered, you're providing liquidity, but you're never traded with because you're making money from the exchange. They're giving you a stipend, right? If you start getting traded all the time, yes, you're making markets, you're taking liquidity, but you're having an inherent risk. Unless you're like the Virtus of this world where you've got, you know, your server's part next to the exchange's server, yeah, then, but I would argue that's not market making. They're scalping at like an incredibly high frequency, right? They're in and out, they're trading. You know, in terms of what we were doing, that's not what we were just literally being paid to be in the market to make sure that if something happened, that we were there to soak up liquidity. But if something did happen and we got hit and we would look up and we've been filled on 400 there, 200 there, 300 there, we know we're having a bad day because the chances are it's gone lower if we bought it or higher if we've sold it, and then we're scrambling to get out and not do our fucking arse. And we'd have you'd have decent down days, but that's the inherent risk of being a market maker.
Could you explain what a market maker is, as if like you're explaining it to like a 5-year-old? Because
So-
it's obviously such a misconception.
Yeah, so a proper market maker, one, they're not someone that's going around trying to stop you out on your £5 a tick. Fucking ICT tells me that he's got the inside line and all this bollocks, which we'll go down.
We'll come back to that.
Come back on that. Right? A real market maker usually is, well, when I was doing it, we were being paid by the exchange to make markets in a liquid contract. It's simple as that. It's Ronso, it's name on the tin. So by what I mean on that, so say the market is, you know, 5-10 ticks wide, not many people are trading it, but the exchange wants more people to trade it. To get someone to trade a market, you need liquidity. You know, you're not going to trade a pair that's 20 ticks wide on one lot side.
Yeah.
You need it to be liquid. So they would go to people like us and say, look, here's this contract. The deal we want you to do is we want you to be 2-tick spread, so say like, I don't know, 8 bid at 10 or whatever, and we want you to be 500 lots up in size, and we want you to be doing that, keeping that kind of that width and that size 90% of the market opening hours. And then you're monitored by them. If you aren't doing enough size, you'll get fined or you'll get your stipend reduced. If you're not doing the spread tight enough, you'll get your stipend reduced. All of these things. So it's as simple as that. There is no black, like kind of, you know, black shroud around it. There's no dark magic involved. There's no, you know, Dick
So it's
Turpin wearing
basically
his
just
mask.
managing spread. Is that?
It's managing positions.
Yeah.
It's actively managing positions around where the market's trading. You know, in an ideal world, you're not taking on big positions because that's not what you're there for. You're there just to provide a service to other market participants. Yep. Again, in an ideal world, you want to be as tight as you can in the market without being hit, in my opinion. You know, there's outlier, there's edge cases, there's other, you know, ways of market making that, you know, people will be shouting at me, going, that's not real market making, but that's what we were paid by the exchange to do. So when you talk about market making, I was paid by the fucking exchange to do this.
Mm. So essentially, you're providing my support or resistance?
Well, kind of, but it's just as the market moves, we're moving as well.
Mm.
So we're just there just to provide liquidity. So say someone needs to do a 100 lot or a 200 lot order.
It's there.
It's there.
Yeah,
exactly.
that makes sense.
We're not fishing around, like, you know, when we were doing it, like, we didn't have a chart up. We had just screens of ladders. We didn't give a shit what the price was trading, as long as we were a tick above and a tick below.
Yeah.
That's it.
makes sense.
I mean, I think, so like to me, that's a really, it was a really weird question. Say, can you explain it? Because I'm like, I just did.
Yeah, it's just like.
But because of this whole fucking.
For retail traders, the market makers are there to take us out. You're our enemy.
Well, this is it, because that's because so many people have like channeled that false kind of narrative when we're really not.
Okay, so I'm going to ask what is probably a very stupid question.
No such thing as a stupid
but
question.
I feel like the world needs to hear it. Is the market ran on an algorithm?
Why would you say this? Come on, man. What
Because
makes it...
well, there's a certain educator in the space who
Well, first
lives
off,
and breathes.
Sorry, first off, please don't ever call him an educator. That's disrespectful to people like you who do educate people.
The cult leader, the biggest cult leader in the industry.
That's what the C stands for, right? I said cult.
You wanted to say something else. Yeah, so there's a long-standing thing of it's run on an algorithm.
Of course, it's fucking not.
That's all I wanted.
The thing is,
that's all I wanted.
So we're talking about ICT. I'll say it. He's a prick, right? He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, he's unblocked me, so we're.
I don't give a shit. Right. The thing is, I used to see people talking about him years ago, and I was like, he just talks absolute bollocks, right? But he's got such a cult following that I'm going to get fucking piled on now. But I'm fucking 41. I don't give a shit about that. And I was talking to Leon a little while ago, and we were talking about ICT, and I was just like, fucking avoid. And I had no idea about this story about he was kidnapped. He
was thrown into the back of a van.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
How would people believe in this bollocks?
Yeah.
There is no magic key. There's no magic... I just don't... honestly, I cannot get my head round how anyone would even believe this for a second. And I'm sorry. I'm looking straight in the camera. I'm sorry if you believe this, but you're a fucking moron. What do you? I can't get my head around it. Honestly, it fries my brain.
And this is coming from the market maker.
Yeah.
But apparently I'm like Black Hawk helicopter's going to like take me out later on. Well, fuck off.
So I'm guessing in the institutional that space, ICT isn't the most liked.
No, not. It's not that he's not liked. No one has a fucking clue who he is. Only retail traders know who this guy is because he's got this cult following. After this I'll be going to my usual establishment, meeting up some old broker friends of mine. These are institutional brokers. If I say, you heard of ICT, they'll think I'm fucking talking about some fucking computer or something. No one has any idea who this guy is apart from retail traders, sorry. He lives in his own world that he's generated, and he's the king of his own little castle.
He's delusional. Like, you've got to give it to him.
This is it. It's like, I refuse to go down that rabbit hole because I haven't got enough time, right? But does he believe it himself? Is he one of these people that's we're talking about traders being psychotic, but he's another fucking level.
Think he does. You can't do that many years of mentorship and not believe your own bullshit. You have to.
I think you're right.
He probably believes he was thrown in the back of a van as well.
Maybe he was, but that had nothing to do with markets.
He probably set it up.
He had like free candy on the side. Ryan.
Advice to a brand new trader not starting out, let's say they already know the basics and they're trying to get funded, but they failed like 2-3 challenges and they just can't hack it.
Get a real job. No, genuinely. So my nephew asked me a little while ago, I want to trade, how do I learn to trade? And I swear to God, I said to him, don't learn to trade, learn a trade. Learn to be an electrician, learn to be a carpenter. I know this is the wrong show to be saying this, but that's 90% of people, that's what they need to hear. Because it's so difficult. Look, again, try it. Absolutely, you've got to give it a go. If you've got that itch and you don't scratch it, it will plague you forever, right? Give it a go. But if you've given yourself every opportunity to succeed by following Mads, following these guys, everyone, and you still fail, and you fail 3 or 4 times, and I know it's not the right thing to say on a show like this, but call it a day.
It isn't for you.
It's not, because it's not forever. It's for very few people, and not enough people say that because most of the people in front of cameras and stuff want as many people trying to trade as possible, and that's not what I'm here to do. So, like, literally, I am the worst person to have on a podcast or show trying to get people to trade, because my default will be,
don't put yourself through it.
don't give it a go, but don't force it. Yeah, especially if you've given yourself every chance to succeed. Look, if you're failing because you're listening to some mug called ICT, then potentially you're not giving yourself the right opportunity. So you might actually be a good trader, but
that
you just
might
don't
be
know.
the problem.
Yeah, but if you're following people like you or like whoever, like our friend David, it's not for everyone. And more people need to be open about that.
Yeah. Another one, what's one of like the biggest lessons you've learned from trading that you've been able to apply in your real life?
I guess kind of, obviously, discipline, obviously, as I keep going back to, but I guess what I said before about no edge lasting forever, so you always need to be looking for the next thing, because what you're doing right now won't always be there. I think that's very transferable, because like in business, obviously I know I've got my startup, etc. I'm constantly thinking, what if tomorrow it's dead in the water, or someone comes over and copies it, or does something like that? You're always thinking about what to do next to make money, and to survive, and to live a life. You know, and that's what you need to do with trading, like what we said. You know, you can't rely, if you're making money doing one thing right now, fucking fair play to you. Put as much capital behind it as possible and really milk it, because in a year's time, there's a good chance that won't be around. And that's the same with life in general. Like, you've got to keep moving forward, because the moment you stop, you know, like, I know it's a fucking horrible cliche, but like, you know, as soon as a shark stops swimming, it dies, kind of thing. It's a shit cliche, but you know what I mean.
I get the point. I've not heard anyone really talk about that before. Like, always focus on the next edge.
I swear to God, because if you don't,
times change.
Like, and I learnt the hard way, and that still haunts me. But yeah, you need to be prepared for the next thing, to how to make money.
For someone who is probably, let's say, a year, 2 years into their trading journey, seen a bit of success, kind of understanding it, but not really seeing the type of money that they want to make, do you think it's necessary for them to hold out for, let's say, 5 to 10 years and get the experience and learn how the markets really move?
Absolutely. Well, it's like we spoke about before, right? Longevity is everything. Yeah, the longer you're in the market, the more you understand, the more you learn. And if you're not making the money, if you're making money but it's just not enough to move the dial for you, it's probably because your trading account's too small. But do you know what? If that's the case, fair play to you, because it shows that you're not punting stupid risk on a small account. So in fact, if I was looking to back someone, I would much rather back someone with my own money, that they came to me and said, look, I've been trading for 5 years on a £4,000 account, and I've not made millions. I've only made like 10 grand or whatever, but my P&L's like this. Give me that person to back every day. What I don't want is someone with 5 grand in their account, and they might have made 100 grand their first year, but you look at their trades and it's like degen stuff, because that won't last. There's no longevity to that. So yeah, to answer your question, if you are making money, plug away, keep doing it. But it might be that you might not be making enough to live on it. So if you need to get a job or something, do that, but just keep yourself in the game, because the longer you're in the game, the more chances you give yourself.
Well, thank you, Ryan, for coming
You're very
on.
welcome.
Some good little points and some good tips and some interesting insights.
I'm just waiting for ICT to turn up in his van.
Prepare. He's going to come at you.
He's going to kidnap you now.
I don't give a shit.
But yeah, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. You've been good.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Thank you, darling.